My son's preschool teacher is demanding that I cover up my tattoos when I go to pick my son up because it's against the school dress code. Ma'am, I don't even go to school here, so how on earth does your dress code apply to me? 6 weeks ago my wife, 36F, and I, 38M, moved across the country with our son, 5M, to live in my late grandma's old house that we inherited. We're from Seattle and moved to a town in Texas, and honestly my wife and I hate living here, but it's financially better for us for the time being, plus honestly I'm attached to my grandma's house. I have a lot of tattoos, long hair, just a general look that really isn't common here but was totally normal in Seattle. I've gotten a lot of looks and some stuff from people here, which I don't really give a fudge about, but suffice it to say my appearance doesn't fit in. So far my wife had been the one picking our son up and dropping him off at school/daycare because my work schedule was all messed up, but I've settled into the same hours she works, so now we're picking our son up and dropping him off together. I met our son's teacher, probably late 20s, earlier today, and I could just tell she was uncomfortable with my appearance from the jump. My wife and I talked to her for a bit about how our son was adjusting to the new school. After talking about that for a bit, his teacher asked me to cover up my tattoos, which would basically require covering up all of my skin below the neck, when I come pick him up and drop him off because it was off-putting and apparently tattoos are against the school dress code. I said no. I was clothed, tank top and shorts, and I'm not a student, so I said I wasn't under their dress code. Besides, none of my tattoos that are visible when I'm clothed to any degree can be considered offensive unless you find the very idea of tattoos offensive. She insisted, which irritated me and my wife, and basically we just told her that I wasn't going to change how I dress and wasn't going to stop picking up my kid, so she and anyone else who had a problem would have to just deal with it. My wife and I think this is totally fudging ridiculous, but my mom, whom I called earlier today, said I should just go with it and that I'm being a pain in the butt. Update. My wife and I called the front office of our son's school this morning and were able to actually meet with the principal and one of the vice principals right before school let out, so we got to leave work and pick our son up early too, which was really nice. Turns out those of you who said this was probably the teacher overstepping and not an actual rule were totally right. Apparently it is against dress code for both the students and teachers to have tattoos, temporary or otherwise, but as long as you're decent a parent can show up dressed as they like. The meeting went about as well as it could have gone. The principal was pretty avoidant of saying the teacher did anything wrong, per se, and did try to pass it off as the result of his teacher's inexperience, but she did say that the teacher's actions weren't right, so I guess that's something. My wife and I also asked if we could move our son to the other class if he seems unhappy for any reason or if we think the teacher is treating him unfairly, and the principal agreed, so that's also good. Some of you think that I shouldn't have said anything and should have just complied for fear of my son being treated poorly, but I think that's a super bad precedent to set and model for our son, and I think it probably wouldn't affect anyone's behavior anyway. Obviously whether people accept my tats or not doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but I don't want my son to think that it is okay for other people to tell him to look a certain way because that's what they want/are comfortable with, nor do I want him to think it's okay to treat others that way. I don't think teaching him to conform is ever a good thing. I also don't think trying to conform actually makes people accept you anymore, but that's just me. Plus he's 5 and he's already brought cupcakes to school, so I should hope the other 5-year-olds aren't going to have a problem. A lot of you have weird opinions about whether men should wear tank tops at all or not. I think that's just a weird thing to comment on, honestly. I mean, who cares? I'm not going to comment on whether men should hold their big belt buckle in public or not. I wasn't wearing a wife beater either, it was a tank top. As long as it feels like summer to me, I'm gonna wear one. Plus my wife really loves them, so I'm definitely not going to just excise them from my wardrobe. The meeting with our son's teacher was impromptu anyway. If it had been an actual parent-teacher conference, sure, I probably would have gone with a t-shirt, but we just thought it'd be a quick get out, pick up our son, and go occasion.